get going anytime you want. Go ahead.
Very good. All right. Well, no, I guess just to start, kind of how does it feel to be out there and to get to this point where you're, going to be playing for a championship?
I'm really excited because I've loved Scottsdale every time I come out. I think the first time I came out to Arizona was probably freshman year of high school. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, every time coming out here, being from California, it was just, there's a lot of golf and I didn't really have that where I grew up. So it was always excitement from the first time I came out. And then on top of that, just having a chance to win a national championship as a senior and with such a good group of guys who work their butts off, it's just a fantastic week, and I could not be more excited to get going on Friday.
Yeah, okay. It was a long time ago to go back to last March and things changing and shifting, but I remember talking to Coach Heppler, probably days after the season was declared over, and he was telling me how some guys were, obviously probably the seniors were so emotionally struck by a devastated. Do you remember your emotions at that time?
Yeah, it was very shocking because it was very abrupt how they came to the decision from our point of view, because we were just hearing about kind of some of the other seasons were being canceled, and we felt that being at the end of May, we still had a chance, which we learned we eventually didn't, but it came to such a shock. And for those other three seniors who were here for so long and put in all the work, you could see it in their faces how distraught they were and how hard that is to end on that note. And it hurt me a lot more to see it happen to them than it did to actually on top of the actual disappointment of the season. But to see how it felt for them and just to imagine what that must be like was just much more painful than it actually was to just find out the season was canceled, because over those years I'd grown pretty close with those three.
Right.
And I mean, those guys worked very hard. They're obviously incredible players, and we had a very good chance of going and running it all the way. And for it to end like that, that's always a tough way to leave it. But I think giving them an extra COVID year to have that opportunity was very, very special of the NCAA.
Yeah.
And to be able to be here this week, now that from where we've come, is just that much better.
Yeah. What did you kind of think, maybe before the season started or even as the season started, of what kind of team is this going to be? Obviously, losing three really good players changes things, but what was your sense of what you as a team could accomplish?
Honestly, the expectation, I didn't know where to set expectations. So I kind of just didn't. And I was just going to let the season come as it may. And we kind of started off rough. And we didn't play as well for the first half, probably. And then right around the end, the last two events of the season, I think, we started to turn it on a little bit in the momentum. The final round of our tournament in California, we've had the lowest day out there, and we played well in Calusa, or down in Naples at Calusa Pines, and we started turning on the performance and competing and contending, and we played better and better as we go on. And we always knew physically we were good enough, and it was just about getting experience and getting reps and getting that momentum. And now there's no doubt in my mind we can go run it all the way.
Wow. Did you kind of, maybe this goes back to last summer when you were finding out that Luke and Tyler and Noah weren't coming back, or excuse me, that Andy were coming back, did you ever allow yourself kind of some self-pity of, oh, this isn't fair, I should be able to play with these guys and have that chance to win with them?
No, because at the end of the day, they have to do what's best for them. So Andy, we always knew he kind of had his own plans and his own schedule set up. Ty and Luke kind of had it's hard to really know what's going on Ty and Luke kind of had their own things, and they were trying to figure it out. And so there was a chance, but I knew regardless, they have to do what's best for them. And they gave their all those 4 years, and that's all you could ever ask for anybody. And all I wanted for them was to do what they wanted to do most and what they believed in. And they ended up doing that. And I understood it. And it was never about, it was, yes, I would have loved to have played with them, but that's what they wanted to do. And I was like, all right, let's go do it with this group. It was just more of, it's fine. They're going to be happy doing it. And I'm going to be looking forward to this new group of guys who we have.
How would you describe the personality of this team that you have?
The first couple of weeks we were a little bit quieter as a group because those three were a lot more outspoken. And I think as the season's gone on, everybody's kind of came into their role more and more. And it's a very, they keep their head down, they work their butts off, and then they come out and they're ready to fight every day, every minute on that golf course. So, I mean, tooth and nail, they're not going down easy, no matter who you play, does not matter. It's a group that's gritty and is ready to go fight.
Okay. They taking after you?
I don't know. That's not, I would like to think I'm that way, but I don't know if that's my doing or just who they are as people.
Okay. Have you been to this course? I know you guys were out there last December.
Was that, have we been to the course?
Yeah, the one you're playing this maybe.
Yeah, so we played our first qualifying for our first tournament out. I think we played 7 rounds out on the course. So we got a lot of reps, just seeing what the course was like and getting experience what desert golf was like for I think 3 or 4 of the group hadn't played desert golf as much. So it was good to let them see what it was like and get some reps on the course and have a good feel of what it's going to be like in the tournament.
Okay. How would you describe desert golf?
What was that?
How would you describe how desert or what kind of different game is play?
You're cutting out.
I'm sorry. How would you describe?
Oh, the difference between desert golf?
There you go.
Sorry. So desert golf, the thing is the ball flies a little bit further because the elevation's more than it is in Atlanta. And there's no trees, so you can feel the wind. Pretty much the wind you feel is the wind you have. Georgia, kind of the wind can thread through the trees. The ball rolls out a lot more, so you kind of have to play for more rollout in the fairways and understand that your tee balls you might hit it 15, 20 yards farther because not only is it hotter and warmer and ball's flying further, but the ball's going to roll out more and you have to be able to play for it and adjust to it. And then I think the last thing is sight lines. It looks much more wide open. In Georgia, you kind of have the bounds outlined by the trees and you're able to see exactly where you're going. And here it's kind of wider and you just see kind of patches of green in the distance. And I mean, if you hadn't played in it, I think that's an adjustment you have to make to get used to that because it does look wide open and it's not a lot of the time. You have to pick your spots, be very precise in the distance and be able to commit to where you're aiming and be ready to battle if you end up in the desert at times, which is kind of where the defense is on most courses. If you can keep it in the grass, you'll have a good round. But if you get in the desert, you got to be able to grind it out and not lose too many shots to the field.
Right. I was working on something about Christo. I'm curious kind of what your impressions of it.
Of Christo?
Right.
He is a good player. First off, he's 6'8" and tall, bombs the ball. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you don't see many guys do that. And the guy's short game around the greens is probably the thing that people won't even think about because everybody focuses on how far he hits it. But his short game is ridiculous. It's just week in, week out. It's fantastic. And when you throw that combination of long distance and a good short game, it's going to be hard for a player to ever have a bad week. And it's shown in his results. He has been consistent, and he is a really, really good player. And it's no doubt there. And he's going to continue to improve, because there's areas where he can, and he knows it, and he's working on it. And as his years progress, he's going to go from a really good player to probably one of the best.
Wow. His I guess his clubs are a little longer than most guys.
Yeah. He's got his putter, I think, is 3 inches longer than mine. So and I'm not a short guy, so it's wild taking pictures with him. I have to have him stand over on the other side next to Bart and Will Dixon, who are 6'4" and 6'5", 2'6", maybe 6'3", 6'4". Make me feel a little bit better when I'm standing next to Connor and Dan Smith. So it's a tall group of guys. We look like we were playing basketball.
Yeah. Very good. I think that's it. Anything else?
All righty.
Great.
No, I'm good to go. Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dom.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Noah.
you. All righty.
Okay. So, Bruce, how many rounds will you play before you start?
So we had 3 days of practice, different courses, and had a great day with Bryce Mulber yesterday, where he's a member, and shed some of his wisdom on them, and went to dinner with him last night. It's great to have them around. Our alums, if just from understanding that, that this thing's so much bigger than all of us. It's a history of players and people, and the golf program is more than just the group guys that are here now. So that's always positive. So it's been a couple more days, and then the practice round will be on Thursday morning.
Okay. Do you know who you have the number 5 spot?
I do not yet.
Like, is that going to be a qualifying matter or a feel?
No, just a feel thing. Yeah.
It seems unusual to me to not to have that uncertainty going into
probably very unusual, because you only had the chance to do it a couple of times now. So it's like a World Series Game 7. I mean, everybody needs to be on board, starters, relievers, and I'll just have to make a decision what I think is best for the team at the moment. And knowing that anybody can come out, I don't think we want to look at it as a 5-6 thing. Whoever's a 6 guy, if somebody struggles, you still got the COVID issue out there of testing positive or whatever. So the idea is just have the 6 people ready to go. And it's not like, well, if this is the 5th guy and this is 6th, the only guy who can come out is the 5th guy. We'll just play it by ear, and it's Game 7 of the World Series, and everybody needs to be on deck.
Yeah. You can sub him in at, I think, like it was at the ACC. You subbed him in the last round. It's the same sort of thing where you can.
I think you can sub every single round and get into match play and keep changing those 6 guys in and out. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sorry, like, have you ever done this before at this point of the season?
Never before. No. And I'm not sure why I did it. I just, I don't know. I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
Okay.
It's not a lot of fun. You go from the differences in those other sports. When you sub somebody out for a turnover, you come over and scream at him on the bench and get his attention, and you throw him back in the game. The tough part about this is it's the entire round.
Right.
So it's probably harder on the player coming in and out. But Marty did a nice job of that, and Will was fantastic that morning, and he could have made it uncomfortable for everybody, but was really supportive of everybody when they were warming up and stuff. So we've got a good team. Guys care about each other, and at the end of the day, everybody just needs to want to win, and we got to figure out how to do that.
And so Noah was saying you played this course 7 times in the
we came out and did our qualifying, played a practice round, and 6 rounds. Some of these guys, Connors takes lessons out here as a junior player, so he's played it a few times, and Noah's had some real success playing in junior tournaments here. So we've probably seen it as much as anybody but Arizona State, and I think it's going to really make a difference. There's a lot to learn. NCAA used to give you 2 practice rounds, and now they give you 1. So there's a lot to learn. I think some other teams have traveled through here and played around here or there, but I think our guys have got a head start on what they need to do come Friday morning.
Is that about as much? I know you've done this in the past. Is this about as much as you've been able to play a
Yeah,
championship course?
I've never done anything like this before. You know, we maybe played once or twice going somewhere, but just with,
All right.
you know, we made a decision within the department that when the fall got canceled, so now we can often talk about what happened in March and we forget to talk about what happened in August. And so, you know, now it's canceled twice. So just met with Todd and Jolene and talked about how to attack the spring. And so we have 144 playing days. We didn't use any of them in the fall. So that allowed us kind of a longer time in the spring to go ahead and get with it. So we started, you know, January 1 coming out here, and just felt like if we're going to spend the time, and with COVID, it's going to have to rent a bus that football takes to go to Sea Island or somewhere. And the airline tickets were cheaper to come to Arizona. So just the whole thing kind of came together. And we knew that in January out here, probably not going to have any 32 days with raining and whatever. The most productive use of their time just made sense to kind of come do this. So turned out great.
Okay. So how many days were you out there total?
Oh, I think we played two other rounds on the course next door. So I think we were here 9 or 10 days.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Before school started. Yeah.
Right. And I guess that's money you might have used in the fall for travel and so forth.
Yeah. And the fundraising account always kind of comes in handy at times. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I imagine different guys approach it differently, but I'm sure they were taking notes and playing different shots and that whole thing. I would suspect while you were out there last time.
Yeah, well, it was count them all, so it wasn't a lot of practice. We're playing to see who got to go down to Camp Creek, you know, a week later. But I think you just learn a lot from playing. There's a practice round, and then that's a lot of experience around and around and around. So even though you're not just looking at doing stuff, you know, you see 4, 5, 6, 7 hole locations, and just kind of see everything that could be in front of you. And there's obviously conditions are different. It's going to be 104 versus 65 degrees, and looks like they've tried to keep the rough up and stuff. But I just think the idea of knowing where you're going from the get-go is going to be really helpful.
Yeah. Okay. I think I was looking at Moose's notes, and Moose, correct me if I'm wrong, you're seated 22nd.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that seem about right to you or fair? I mean, obviously it doesn't really matter, but
it's probably fair. I think we're better than that at the end of the year. That's a, you know, a half a season, and there were teams that got to play in the fall. So I think the rankings are a little bit funny about, but again, they don't say you can't be successful from anywhere. So it's a little different. We've typically have been in that, you know, the way they do that, you have the top 15 play late early, and we're going to be playing early late. So that's a little bit of a change. And sometimes a lot of people feel like they'd rather have late early. But I've also know sitting around waiting to play that first day can be kind of mind numbing in the morning. So, you know, this thing will be going, and then we can have a good practice session after and go play. So you just make the most of it. And again, none of it influences, you know, who's going to win or who's going to lose. I think the weather out here is going to be the same all day. So there's not a situation of getting one wave, getting caught in a bad deal. So it's tea time, and that's all you need to win a tournament.
Yeah. You told, I think it was after the ACC, or no, it was after you qualified, I guess. One of the interview you recorded with Moose, you were saying something to the effect of how, like, this team, I don't know if it's meant more to you or they've done more, but it's obviously like this team has a special, you have a special attachment. Can you explain a little bit more about kind of why that is?
You know, you have admiration for everyone, but very proud of this group. One, because of the cancellations, don't get to play in the fall, to be able to stay engaged, stay together, was not easy to do. So they've come a long way. I think this group from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. Is probably as conscientious of a group as we've ever had. They're very close. The other guys, you know, in the past, you know, even with Andy, Luke, and Ty, we had a great team. But there were some guys who like to kind of prepare on their own and do their things. And that's nothing wrong with that because it's an individual sport. But this group collectively is why we're here. they've practiced with each other, they've pushed each other, they've encouraged each other. They've spent a lot of time together preparing. So just proud of a group that, you know, you lose those guys and they just move forward and haven't let it bother them. And so I have, you know, great respect and certainly as proud of this group as anyone I've ever been around, for sure, for sure.
I'm guessing you're not someone who spends a lot of time thinking about how good this team will be or where are we going to finish, but you know, like as we were saying the other day, it's not every team that gets here, even it's a team with the history you have. But what do you say about a team that, you know, wasn't terribly experienced, had lost obviously the big guns from a year ago and then has made it to this point?
I think the journey from August till now has been, you know, it's been unbelievable. And I think we're playing our best golf now. You know, a conversation that you and I had about, you know, is this old hat or whatever. And I think, you know, college golf has changed dramatically. And I think my perception of what a good year is and what it takes to do that has probably changed some. And we'll probably cherish every one of these going forward, maybe a little bit more than in the past, because I guess not arrogantly, but at times it was just like, let's open up the door in August and, you know, we'll be in the top 16, you know, every year. And, you know, that was just kind of what happened. So the world's different. There's great programs that aren't here this year, who've maybe the first time in 20 they've missed. So probably value this experience and these young people even more so than I have in the past, probably.
Yeah. Can your group do it? Can they win? Can they get, you know,
so.
go far at least?
Things got to go right. We'll, you know, put pressure on our big guy. If Noah Norton, and he's sitting right here and he's listening, but he can handle it. If Noah Norton plays like he can play and has played in the desert in the past, we'll be around for a long time. Just got to have somebody he's had a lot of experience here, success here. And, you know, I don't think he's had the senior year that he wanted to. At moments there's been, and not moments there's others, but I think he's ready to finish this the way, you know, he wants to. And if he's really, really, really competitive, these other guys will come along and feed into that. And again, when you get to match play, you just need 3 guys to win. You don't need 4 guys to play well. So if we get going, I think it's one of those tournaments that if you can just kind of get off to a good start, get the wind at your back, then it gets to be where you just, there's no telling what can happen.
Very good. Okay. I think that's all I want to ask you. Anything else I'm missing here?
No, all good.
All right.